So I did some research on what Beth mentioned, I think it was a few videos ago, about the massive house and in those woods. So basically, I found out, I looked it up, and so basically, there used to be this massive Victorian style house. And up until 1934, there was this family called the Arniell family, A-R-N-E-I-L-L. I think they were originally the Peak family, but then someone got married and then that name kind of died out. So we're at the name that we're concerned with is the Arniell family. And basically, the house will be passed down through the generations, and the woods were the grounds for the house, and then most of it was actually the gardens. So very, very rich family. There's a whole lot of local legends about it, and I had heard of it before, but I didn't realise it was about that house and that incident that happened. So I don't know how much of this is true. There's not a whole lot of surviving records of it, or the family, or there's not a lot of surviving records of it, or the family, or anything, so this is just what I've heard. So basically, there was a guy, John Arniell, and he was the current owner of the house after his father had died 7 years ago. After this point, so it was 1934. His father died in 1927. So he'd inherited the house, and they were planning some renovations. But then he said that there was like sort of a stalker outside the house, and he said it was looking at his wife and his children. He had 3 daughters, and a son, and his wife. So it was him, his wife, 2 of his daughters, and his son, because one of the daughters, the eldest, can't figure out what her name is. There's no record of her name. There's more information about her, but we'll come back to her later. She had moved out a couple months beforehand all this happened. There's a record of a butler saying that he would sit and like talk to himself, because after the stalker appeared, or at least he said the stalker appeared because no one else saw anything. The butler said that he would like talk to himself in the mirror, like in front of the mirror, but he was actually talking to himself, but it was someone else. The way he described it to the butler is that he was looking at a reflection of himself, but it wasn't his reflection. It was like there was another version of him being reflected. There were two of his reflections in the mirror. It's kind of hard to describe. So basically, he went nuts, and he would sit in front of the mirror for hours and hours and hours and have conversations. No one could really figure out what he was saying. He was speaking, but he wasn't saying words. It was all mumbled. His mental health really deteriorated, and in 1934 he burned down the house with 2 of his daughters, his wife and his son inside. And that's why most of the house is destroyed, and there's a whole forest there now. No one knows what caused the whole mental illness or whatever that was, but it's kind of freaky. The surviving daughter, she had moved out to get married. She married a man, and they never had children, but 7 years later they were able to adopt a daughter. So, I mean, that was good for them. But something else freaky happened. The Arniell family started to die off. Something else happened. The Arniell family started to die off. First it was his brother, and then his uncle, John Arniell, that is, his brother, and then his uncle, and then his nephews and nieces. They all started to just die mysterious deaths. They'd all just vanish, or they'd be murdered, and there's not a whole lot of records of it. But the rumour goes that the Arniell family it got erased. The whole bloodline, it just went away. In fact, so I looked it up, and there's like a website where you can check how many people are there in the world with a certain last name, and there's something like less than 200 people with that spelling of Arniell worldwide. So, I don't know what happened there, but the whole family it's gone, right? Which kind of freaks me out. There's this whole, local legend that if you look into your mirror, sometimes you'll see him being reflected, or, I don't know. I'd actually heard that one before. I think it was my great-grandmother told me that one. Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of weird. It's weird that no one talks about it. It's just kind of those things that is in the public consciousness and then no one really bothers to figure it out. I mean, it didn't even happen that long ago. Well, I mean, it was over 80 years ago, but it was like, in terms of like, oh, let's not care about that. Like, it was in the last 100 years and no one's bothered to try and figure out what this was. So, I don't know what happened to the surviving daughter, her husband, their adopted daughter. From everything that I've heard, it either doesn't mention them, or people will say that they survived the culling of the Arniell family, I guess. But I don't know. I don't know what happened to them past that. So it's actually a bit of a cool story. Something that happened in my hometown. Yeah. So, if there's anything else for me to cover, or I find out, I'll let you know. So, for now, I guess, bye.